So without further ado, Jack Mahoney of Boathouse Auctions, boathouseauctions.com, just like it sounds. Jack, such a pleasure to be speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so humble and grateful to get the time with you. It's rare that someone in general and further in my position has the opportunity to speak to someone such as yourself, because you're not just a yacht broker per se, yet
Correct.
you're at
Yep,
a different level. And so please,
we
without
are.
further ado.
Yeah. But we do work very closely with yacht brokers, but we're the auctioneers behind, selling these usually pretty large boats, or the wealthy people fall in love with these boats, and then when the market kind of slows down, it's sometimes it's hard for them to get rid of it. So,
Yeah.
you can just think of these people have been very successful throughout their whole lives, and now finally they're left with an asset that they don't want, and it's high carrying costs and whatever. They just want to get rid of it. It's been a couple of years that it's been on the market, so we work through the op brokers and we bring them to market. It takes us 30 days. We advertise like crazy, kind of all over the world, and we draw a field of interested bidders in 30 days, and it's gone at at the market driven price. So I think the sellers, we got 7 auctions going now.
Yeah.
Boats range between, I guess, 85 and 154 feet, which is pretty typical. That's kind of the range that we work in. And the sellers are eager to move on. Most of them have their other boats already, and ready to just part with this asset at whatever the market's willing to bear.
Right. And so it's the ideal situation. It behooves significantly both the seller and the buyer. And you have the current auctions you have. I was looking at them before we began speaking. You've got that Serengeti down in Newport Beach. And
Yeah,
you look at obviously a lot of activity over in Fort Lauderdale, but some
right.
absolutely beautiful, beautiful ships. Just magnificent. And what's fantastic for those that do then begin considering what you do put up for auction is it's just the layout on your website is so great with respect to
Thank you.
who did the build,
hmm
what's the length, year built, refit year. Uh,
Yes, we pretty much have everything on there, Judd. It's we want it to be turnkey for the buyers, where they just come in, all the so we don't charge sellers anything to participate on our platform, but they do have to provide a recent hull and separate engine survey. And we tell the sellers, look, it's going to be painful, but get a really tough surveyor, because that's what the buyers want to see. They're making a decision based on this information. And if the information isn't high quality, it's going to be reflected in the bids and the amount that you get for the boat. So,
yeah.
go through the painful part on the front end and get a good high quality surveyor. We don't mandate who the surveyors are, but let's make sure that they're well known and reputable. And you put that out there, you put all the documents out there, all the oil samples, fluid samples, everything is there. And from the buyer's perspective, these are pretty good deals. So they've got to act with urgency, and they're probably going to compete, but it's right there. It's open, it's fair, it's transparent. Everyone can see all the bids in real time. Only the people that have put in a bid deposit can actually place a bid. But yeah, everything's done in real time. Amazon Web Services runs the back end. So if you and I are bidding against each other, we don't know who each other are, but
Mhm.
um, it's kind of, millisecond. It's I put my bid in, you see it on your screen, and we'll see what the market's willing to bear.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
And is it relatively consistent throughout the year, or do you have peak times of the year?
Yeah, so it would follow a typical, if you're following along with yachting and the cycle, it would follow a typical, yacht sale brokerage market, where the middle of the summer is just really slow, just really
Yeah.
slow. So July, August, we don't do auctions then. We'll be preparing for our September, for the fall, September, October, November, and then it slows down again through December, the holidays, and picks back up, second or third week in January. Then we'll kind of run through until we get to May or June.
And do you work directly with many of the brokers, or do you take the brokers basically out of the equation?
No, so we work exclusively through brokers. We in fact we don't take a boat unless there's a broker that's representing. So you have to have a listing agreement to work with us. And sometimes sellers don't like that. They're irritated with their broker or whatever. And we get it. We're not here to line the pocket with the brokers, but the brokers really do play a valuable role. They're the feet on the street. They're taking all the inquiries and calls, doing all the showings and all of that. And for that, they get paid per the terms of the listing agreement. So
Yeah.
yeah, we only work through the brokers, and it's been a good model. It's been a good partnership with the brokerages and the sellers and the buyers. It's just, like I said, it's open, it's transparent, and it's just fair. People are like, okay, I knew what was going on, and whether they won or didn't, it's
Well,
clean, I should
and
say.
brokers or real estate agents and brokers, they
Mhm.
exist for a reason. And
Mhm.
similar to someone
Mhm.
who might have a palace on the beach in Florida, wherever it might be, and
Mhm.
I want to sell it myself because I'm going to save a decent amount of cash. The amount of headache that you're going to run into with all the mistakes you're going to make and whatnot,
Yeah.
it's just not worth it. No, it's not.
Yeah,
And just same thing with probably even more so with a yacht.
yeah, exactly. And so the sellers really want all those buyers coming through from the brokers, and to do that, you got to be working with a broker. And so it's worked out really well. The brokers that are representing the buyers, we've been doing this now for 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Now the brokers that are representing the buyers, they're comfortable bringing their clients in. They know that they're going to get paid. Everyone gets paid, paid fully, and it works.
Why is it then if I it's somewhat of a loaded question, but to hear
Yeah,
you
sure.
answer it, obviously you're the expert and the pro. Why is it that someone would not, if they are selling their yacht, their beloved yacht,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, why is it that they would not want to utilize boathouse auctions and do it the alternative way?
I think there's some comfort people take, and just they've done it one way and it's kind of worked in the past, and so they do that, and so they're like, this new way of doing it with technology in the auction, I'm going to hold off. But there comes a time where it's like almost death by a thousand cuts, and it's like they want the boat sold. They've got high carrying costs, they got opportunity costs, depreciation, inflation. It all adds up. I mean, it's expensive to not sell an asset that you don't want, especially with a depreciating asset. And so, they drop the price, and then they've got to wait a month or two, and then they drop the price a little bit more. Every time, Judd, every time a seller drops the price, they think, okay, that's it. Of course, the market's going to come, and it's a down market right now. It's definitely a buyer's market, and so they usually get to a point where they say, all right, what are the alternatives? And we're the alternative. We actually have a boat right now. We've got an 85-foot boat that's we just launched this morning. It's called Live Moss. It's an Ocean Alexander 2017,
I
and
see it here. Yeah.
he's a second time seller with us, and it just went on the market this week. So he didn't even want to wait. He just said, "Hey, look, this works," and we drive tens of thousands of people to the auction marketplace within 30 days, and
Yeah.
he just said, "Hey, that is the market, and let's do it. Let's sell it this way." So most sellers, though, you're right. Most sellers stay on the market, and then they get to year one or year two, and they say, "All right, enough is enough. Let's look at the alternatives." But
Yeah.
some are kind of coming around to the fact that, hey, this might be a logical way to sell, and a way that I can get out with a higher net return, more money in my pocket overall if I just get this sold to a qualified buyer within 30 days.
That's exactly right. And it's guaranteed money. It's basically
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Yeah, because
I
when
love this.
at auction,
What's that?
when at auction, when you're exactly right, it's guaranteed, because when the yacht acceptance language is embedded into our terms of service. So as a buyer or a bidder, you accept all these terms at the beginning of the auction and before you bid. And then whoever the high bidder is, you kind of effectively own the boat. We just moved to closing at that point. You're buying it as is, where is, with all faults, and everyone knows that going into it. It's clear in our terms. So sellers like that, right? There's no
Yeah.
getting out at that point.
Yeah, there's no waking up the next morning saying, whoa, whoa, I had a few too many last night. I didn't even know what I was doing. It's like, well, you bought a yacht. That's what you did.
Right, exactly. Yes.
This Ocean Alexander, by the way, that you just mentioned, this Live Moss is beautiful, by the way. I love Ocean Alexanders, great boats. Um, and so each of these, so again, just to name off a few, you mentioned your current auction, along with the OA, the Ocean Alexander, beautiful, beautiful gig. You got the Serengeti, which is a Westport,
Yeah.
Newport Beach. You got Star of the Sea, which is a Benetti, 113 feet in Fort Lauderdale.
Mhm.
Uh, got this Genoa berth. You've got a Cupcake. I love the names of yachts as well. They're absolutely fantastic. Some of them more bizarre than others. But so which when you see a is there a certain as it in your world, boathouse
Mhm.
auctions, is
Yeah.
there a certain with respect to the auctions, is there a certain geographic area, or is there a certain obviously, everyone knows that Florida's more yacht
Yeah.
active, say Southern California and whatnot. But what is it that for you, Jack, having done this now, 10 years, eight,
Mhm.
9, 10 years,
Yeah.
when you see something coming in that like that's going to go quick, are there certain types or certain geographies where you just those are the ones?
I do. I can tell now. I mean, we have enough data, enough history to know. And quite honestly, we've gotten a lot better at saying no. That sometimes some beautiful yachts come our way, and it just might be a classic or in the wrong location, or the timing doesn't quite fit. They have to have it gone. They want it gone in August or something. So we're getting better, a lot better actually at saying no. But yeah, I can kind of tell. I mean, we usually it's usually boats that are 10 years old or older is what we handle. So anywhere between 10 and maybe 25 or 30 years old, that seems to be the sweet spot. And the carry's high on these. It costs a lot to hold on to them. And some of the more production boats. I mean, if you came to me and you said, "Hey, I've got an Azimut or I've got a Sunseeker," I'm not saying that we wouldn't take it. We would, but those tend to be. There's so many made and so many sold that they kind of almost sell within a bell curve, and they're probably even rather than trying to you know necessarily get the seller to be convinced that the auction is the right way. I say, maybe you might want to try lowering your price first because that might be your better path to getting a successful sale and pretty quickly. So, but yes, to answer your question, we do know which boats are kind of going to do better. And I hate to say it, I'm sure I'm biased, but it's most of the boats out there.
which is fantastic. When so someone is wakes up this morning or they've been thinking about it for a while and they decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it. I've hit that point in my life. This is it.
Hmm.
I'm going to finally get the yacht. I'm not going to build one myself. And they fortunately discover boathouse auctions. Then how does I'm imagining very simple process work for that brand new buyer?
Yeah, so that brand new buyer, they would come onto our website. Any one of those auction listings, there's a yellow button that you'll see. It just says register to bid. Takes them not even a minute to fill out that form. They send it to us. Once we receive it, we'll email them back and say, "Hey, we've received your bid registration. You're halfway there." Then on most boats, Judd, you got to put in a bid deposit. Usually it's $100,000. It's held with a maritime attorney. We don't hold the money.
Mhm.
And then once the bid deposit is settled in their escrow account, then they're ready to bid. Basically, we market the boats for about 4 weeks, for about 30 days, and then there's usually anywhere between a 1 and 3 or 4 day online bidding period. So once you've put in your bid deposit, you're effectively ready to bid. You just have to wait for that window to open. So so you mentioned Serengeti, the 130 Westport. The bidding starts. That's just a one day bidding. That's going to be on March 18th. So that's how it works. I mean, it's a pretty easy process for the buyers.
And how you just important point you just mentioned for the Serengeti, the one down in Newport Beach. So that's going to be a 1 day. Uh,
Hmm.
are most of them 1 day, or does it vary all over the place?
Um, it somewhat varies, but we used to do like a 4 or 5 day auction, and we realized that every now and then there would be some bids on day one, and then nothing for 4 days, and then the last 20 minutes there would be a bunch of bidding. So we've started to shorten it, and we're going now to 1 or 2 days have the bidding open.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely get the impulse more and whatnot. And then people can change their mind too. And then that 3, 4 days.
Yeah, they could, but if they did put in a bid, then it's irrevocable at that point. But yeah, a lot happens in the last 15 minutes of the auctions. They're fun to watch, and anyone can watch. They're open to anyone with an internet connection anywhere in the world. You can follow along.
I'm going to watch. I want to, now I'm intrigued
Yeah,
with Serengeti. I'm going to watch.
put it on your calendar.
I will. And Newport Beach holds a special spot in my heart. And it's also, it's unique. It surprised me to see that the first one up on, before we spoke, when I was looking at your inventory, that the first one is Newport Beach, because
Hmm.
in somewhat correlation with you and I having discussed Southern California earlier, one of the things
Hmm.
Southern California does not have is it does not have the yachting community in any way whatsoever.
Right. Right, exactly. That one had been up in Alaska. It was doing some charters up there, and it came down to Newport Beach, which is where the owner lives. And yeah, there clearly aren't as many boats out on the West Coast. Certainly not as many big boats as there are in Florida or Fort Lauderdale in particular.
Yeah, no, you just don't see them. And it makes sense for a number of reasons. We don't need to discuss that. And then, so what has been and I'm sure you have so many I would think so many fantastic stories over the years doing what you do, which is really quite surreal in my opinion. What a dream gig. And what are some of the most memorable moments in your career with boathouse auctions? Jack, that stick with you every day in terms of
Yeah.
the business and your life and whatnot, because it's a beautiful entrepreneurial story to do what you do, because it's so very rare, and doing it with a product such as yachts, because yachts are some of the most unique, fantastic,
Yeah.
sensational works of art ever created by man.
Yeah. So when we talk to sellers, so the auctions, the actual bidding is really what I love. But when we talk to sellers, we try to set the expectation. We tell every seller, Judd, we tell them, look, you probably can get more money just staying on the market, but when is that? Like, when are you going to get that amount that you want? Is it tomorrow? Is it next year? Is it 3 years? Who knows? So we try to set the expectation that it's time value of money, getting them out with the highest net return. And but every now and then we get these auctions that just run wild, and it's really fun. It's really fun to watch at the end as the bidding just, it keeps going up. We've got a 2-minute rule at the end. So if anyone who places a bid within the last 2 minutes, the clock just resets to 2 minutes. And some of them are just wild, and the sellers are blown away, and sometimes they can run millions of dollars over what the expectation was. But again, that's not the expectation we try to set for sellers going into it. But
Yeah.
you asked about, what do you think about what's fun? Those are really good times.
Is there one in particular where, for whatever reason, the stars just aligned for that particular seller, where it just almost went on a run and kept going at the last two
No,
minutes?
there've been a number of them. Yeah, I mean it does happen. You just get two bidders that really want that boat, and in an auction where it's almost a little bit anonymous because you don't know who the other person is that you're bidding against. You can only lose by one bid, basically. Like, you feel like, well, that other person, they think it's worth it, so that's the market value. So you go up another, what, 25,000, and then no more bids come in, so you own it. You're like, okay, well, I'm 25,000 over the market, or 10,000 or five, whatever that bid increment is. So but yeah, that's fun when that happens.
Well, and as you and I both know, whether it's between two or a few people, once it goes on a run and it starts going, they use the mark, try to justify it in their minds, but at that point, it's all ego.
It is. I say that, it's fight or flight, and people come to the auction. They know they're probably gonna have to fight, and they do, right?
Well, and that's the beauty in it. Actually, so to that point, question for you is, I believe, somewhat of a loaded question. What percentage? I would imagine you know this. What percentage of the buyers are men versus women? Your demographic breakdown.
Yeah. So of the buyers, it's been 100% men, and of the sellers, it's been pretty close to 98% men. Not entirely, but
Hmm. That's it's I still find that interesting because women love yachts, obviously. And
Yes.
then there are, I mean, one of my favorite yachts on the planet is owned by Nancy Walton, Chaos, the Walmart in
Mm-hmm.
Paris. If that ever goes up on your on Boathouse Auction,
You're
I'll put
bidding.
a bid on that
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
I've seen that one a few times up close when I was living in St. Thomas. That's a work of art. But so
Yeah.
you do have women that do own yachts, own some of the most spectacular yachts on the
I
planet.
agree. I agree.
Every yacht is named after a woman. What is it? What do you think it is that has both with boathouse auctions and then also with the industry at this point now being in 2026, making our way quickly into 2027? What do you think it is that still makes it on the buying side, the selling side, still predominantly male?
No, no. I think it's a good question. I've never really thought of it, but it is. And I don't really know. But you're right. There are a lot of women own some remarkably beautiful yachts, and I speak with them periodically, but they're not the majority, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they're amazing, impressive women. They're some of the greatest entrepreneurs on the planet that
Hmm.
would make any successful man put his tail between his legs and run for the hills. And I was thinking about it as well because obviously I'm in the business of advertising and marketing, with the
Hmm.
magazine and have been throughout my life, just as you are. One of your first comments was for Boathouse Auctions that you do a lot of marketing, obviously for the auctions.
Hmm.
What you have to do. If no one knows about them, then you don't have an auction. And so,
Sure.
and so I was just wondering if going into it, if you ever did look at it and specifically, but it sounds like you wouldn't even have a reason to designate or earmark dollars marketing wise to focus on going after women because it is just inherently mainly male driven on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean we target by geography quite a bit, but I don't think we've ever I don't do the marketing, but I guess we probably do some social media or something that has gender involved, but yeah, I don't know.
What is your strongest geographical area? Is it Florida?
It is Florida. I mean, hands down. Hands down it's Florida. That's at least where all the boats are, or the majority are being sold. But the
Mhm.
buyers, not all the buyers or sellers live there. I mean,
Yeah.
they live everywhere, all over, kind of all over the world, really. They keep their boats there.
So does the auction take place where the boat is berthed? Or
It does. Yep, exactly. Yep. And sometimes we'll advise sellers that, hey, you're not in a great location. Consider moving it. It's only a 30-day process. And usually they do. They try to get it somewhere where it's a little bit more convenient. There's a, major airport or something like that. That buyers can get in and come and take.
and with respect to when someone is fortunate to discover yourself in boathouse auctions, is it a mix of perhaps the owner of the vessel discovers you and tells their broker about it, or it's the brokers just already they already know you're in their wheelhouse? Or I guess what I'm getting at is you have such a well-designed, beautiful machine, compliments, right? You have this machine in
Thank you.
place. So what is it that is the impetus for still having to do the significant amount of marketing that you do? You live in such an interesting world, you operate in such an interesting world. What are
Mhm.
those touching points for navigating and reaching people at the specific times of the year in those correct geographies, such as, say South Florida and whatnot?
Yeah, sure. So working through the brokers is very helpful because they've got great databases of buyers and sellers that are out there, and so that's just inherently part of the business that we're working with them and their marketing departments really every day. We do everything. It's like hand in hand, making sure that it's well coordinated. We're not saying something that they didn't know we were going to say, and so that's a really good stepping kind of a starting place, and then from there, the marketing team, I mean, we're working, some of the with the boats that we're doing, we work through Boat International or Super Yacht Times and some of the larger just boat specific publications, and always looking for, different avenues and different places. If there's a boat show going on, maybe we'll have a boat in it. We'll look for the local publication there. They're usually magazines or high net worth magazines that have digital offerings that we can tap into. Do a lot of Instagram and Facebook. Actually, I know Instagram is probably quite a bit bigger with just kind of everyone, but Facebook is a is a good marketing platform for us. So a lot of social, a lot of online, and yeah, that's not my field though. So I could connect you with the marketing department.
what was your first auction like? Was it nerve-wracking?
The first auction was because it was like, okay, we built this. Is anyone going to come? Like, actually, does it work? And interestingly enough, I was in touch with the first seller just yesterday. We still keep in touch. He raves about
That's
the
fantastic.
platform. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, he's moved on. He's got an expedition, kind of explorer boat, goes all around the world, and sometimes he'll just call me from the craziest places. But we connected yesterday. I had a question for him. I just said, "Hey Ed, what do you think this boat is worth?" And and then I'm like, "Hey, where are you in the world?" So, but that first auction was it was kind of thrilling and scary and successful. So we just built upon that.
That must have been such a rewarding moment. And I mean, it really must have been one of those, it just, I mean, beyond a bucket list, I've arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell though, Judd, right from the start, right when we start marketing, like those boats that we had four that launched today, you really get a sense in the first couple days or the week how it's going to go and what sort of interest there is. So on that first one, and many cents, the brokers are already starting to call, hey, what's going on? I've got a client interested. Can we come and see the boat? Asking all the right questions and doing all the right things that I don't know, we had at least 5 or 6 bidders already that were set up. So, once we get to that point, it was great. It was almost like the day we launched it. Is it just going to be crickets or what's going to happen?
That's really exciting. You're almost, to a certain extent, one way to, and I think this is valuable to say out loud for those that will be listening, is you're in this very magical, magnetic position in such again, in my opinion, such an amazing industry with respect to all the moving parts. And again, yachts being what they are. And you're almost, to a certain extent, you're like that really unique, exclusive Hollywood agent that has your finger on the pulse of everything in the yachting buying and selling community. You've got the brokers on the one hand that, they're probably, I bet many of them are watching you to also get indicators of
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They are.
That's exciting. That's fantastic. And again,
Yeah.
kudos to you. Jack Mahoney of Boathouse Auctions, boathouseauctions.com. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have, or anything that we didn't discuss during this very fortunate initial almost 35 minutes now that I've had to speak with you, my friend?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered quite a bit. I think that for the most part that does it. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be watching the that auction, and I'm probably going to get addicted and start watching all of them until I feel silly because I'm not putting a bid down on my own. But Jack Mahoney, boathouseauctions.com, absolutely, without a doubt, in my opinion, if you're going to buy a yacht, it is the way to buy a yacht, and also most likely probably the best way to sell a yacht. Also, Jack, thank you for your time. I hope you have a fantastic
Thanks,
weekend
Judd.
and continue to enjoy that weather.
Yeah, you as well. I appreciate it. Take care.
Take care, brother. Bye.
Bye-bye.